Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Now, the recent wave of attacks by Boko Haram is generating concern. In the last 1 month, the terrorist group has carried out daring attacks in Borno State, even penetrating the heavily guarded state capital, Maiduguri.
Now, what could be responsible for the seeming courage the terrorists have been showing in the manner they orchestrate these attacks? This is one big question in the mind of people. Well, we have with us in the studio a public affairs analyst who has a broad knowledge of the landscape and terrain of Borno State. Balazaka, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Now, I know we've had you on the show to talk about Borno State sometime, especially when it comes to the attack in here. The military has told everyone we have broken their backbone, and what you see now is just elements of the last remnants of Boko Haram. But this doesn't seem to be so. What's really going on?
Well, the reason why you are still seeing this is because, first of all, when you talk about terrorists, terrorists are different from disgruntled elements. Terrorists are different from people that have agitations, like we are seeing all over Nigeria. You see, terrorists have an approach. Terrorists have an ideology. Terrorists operate based on indoctrination, right? Radicalism and propaganda. When you work based on indoctrination, that means everything about your psyche, your approach, and your thinking changes. One thing about terrorists is this: unlike insurgents or groups that are complaining, terrorists have no respect for regulatory authorities. So they don't have a boundary. When you talk about agitations generally, then people will say, okay, if you solve these economic, social, or political problems, you will get our loyalty. But for terrorists and extremists, they don't have respect for regulatory authorities. The way and manner they operate, first of all, is this: they want to render a country lawless, then render a government powerless, irrelevant, and then foster their ideology. So from that angle, it's always very difficult for you to wipe them completely, because they are just like cancer cells. They mutate and continue to mutate.
And that's why it continues to beg the question, what exactly do these terrorists want? Like you said, a terrorist is different from an agitator.
Correct.
Or, you know, now, when this government came into power in 2015, the first thing President Buhari did was to move the command control center to Borno State.
Commendable.
Borno State continues to be a target of this militant terrorist attacks, not even just militants. What exactly is it? Is it that the military command is overwhelmed? Or what exactly is it? Like Mike said, we were told that they have, to a very large extent, reduced the capacity of the Boko Haram to carry out major attacks. Yet every day.
Like we said, it's just like cancer cells. So even if you have the slightest, expect a kind of mutation that will metastasize into something malignant. You know, when they work based on this ideology, wiping them takes time. And even those you will succeed in rescuing, right, you must carry out steps. And you must carry out like steps, because everything has to do with psyche and the indoctrination. So there must first of all be psychoanalysis. When you psychoanalyze, you want to understand how these terrorists think. You just have to. That's why everything has to do with psychology. Psychoanalyze them, right? Psycho-cleanse those you've been able to recover, then psycho-orient them.
Do we have the capacity to do this? Psycho-orient, psychoanalyze, and all of that? Do we have it? 100%.
Because one thing we need to understand is this: terrorists have an approach, like we said. They use the weapon of indoctrination. weapon of radicalism and weapon of propaganda. And let's start it this way. When when first of all they use this weapon or adopt the weapon of indoctrination, they start by making people feel your government is irrelevant. Your government cannot resolve your problems. You have better ways of succeeding. And it is transnational. It is transcontinental, right? That is indoctrination. Then propaganda and radicalism has to do with trying to embolden whoever they succeed in recruiting. So they embolden the vulnerables, right? After after they succeed in radicalizing and you embolden this person, then you now use the weapon of propaganda. So I want to believe that it's the weapon of propaganda that is making the remnants to still have loyalists.
Now, in this context, analysts have often said that now ideology, it is very difficult, like you said, to wipe out ideology because it is a thinking and a belief of a people already. But on the other side, the Nigerian authorities, security agencies, they are aware of all of this from what we believe. The issue of counter-ideology is something that should also go alongside the fight against Boko Haram, but I don't seem to see what is being done in that regard.
No, and where should that counter-ideology start from?
Exactly. Fundamental question. You see, in fact, it's the major question. Whether we accept it or not, once you start with this indoctrination, there is every likelihood that a given generation or a given age group of your generation or of that country will fall into those who are vulnerable already. So what you do is this. You put a stop and say from generation X or from age bracket X, we must do something about them. Because like most of the people, those who have been recruited, probably, let's say, okay, from probably age 20 or whatever, maybe from age 20 and 35 or between ages 20 and 40, you know, that have been recruited. If you want to recover them, if you want to rescue them, you are not likely to get all of them. But let us just say, for those who are in secondary school, probably from age 12, from there, let's put a plank, let's put a barrier at every point in time. The way and manner, the level, the system of civic education, the way we are going to also on our own as a government positively indoctrinate this young generation, you know, towards positivity about Nigeria is a key. Because once you talk about losses like that, there are some you may never recover.
But if you start from age 12, I mean...
No, I'm just giving an example.
Research already shows that, you know, a person's character is already formed at the age of 12.
Well,
shouldn't it be much earlier than that?
No. Well, you know, when you talk about character formation, it starts with the parents before you even get to school. But as at the time you get to school, you are now exposed to the government influence, secondary school and state government.
And
so at that point, we ingrain national consciousness in you and take it from there.
All right, but let me put you on hold and bring in Fola Dele here to give us a perspective on social media quickly before we go ahead. Fola, good morning.
Mike. Good morning, Ngozi. Good morning, Bala.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, people are talking a lot about this one.
People will certainly
yes,
talk
of course. And of course, the focus seems to be the fact that when you think about Nice, when you think about London, Manchester, there was a lot of worldwide attention. But it doesn't seem like Nigeria is getting that much. And so, you know, why is the media keeping quiet? So let's find out what else people are saying online. Sharon D. Quinn says, praying for the families and the people who are hurting them. Happy Life says, this will not get attention because it's Nigeria. Emeka Eustace Okeke says, it's still not Uhuru in Maiduguri and suburbs. However, the Nigerian military have really performed well in this fight. Dr. Dipo says, shame on Boko Haram. Nigeria will crush you totally very soon. Amen. Dominic Okeke says, stop this show of shame. Nigerians are dying in millions in the hands of Boko Haram and Fulani headsmen. No condolences. Hashtag Nigerian lives matter. The last one here from Lone Wolf, he says, our government empowered them with that negotiation. Why wouldn't they start disturbing again? Bala, what do you think about this tweet? He seems to be alluding to the fact that, of course, the release of the Chibok girls, the government did come out and say that there was negotiation involved. And so he's saying that that might have actually empowered them.
You see, something fundamentally happened in that direction that really shocked not Nigerians, not the continent of Africa, but the entire world. We were made to understand, I don't know, just like any other person, you know, we're made to understand that there was a kind of exchange, right? We got some of our daughters and children, and we released some Boko Haram, you know, kingpins, about 5 of them or thereabout. Do you know, to the shocking and chagrin of people and to the emboldenment of Boko Haram, within 5 days, those 5 people came out and there was a video with military camouflage, with supporting Hilux trucks and wielding guns, which simply means when the helicopter took them to that location and released them, somehow, somewhere, the energized and encouraged Boko Haram in Sambisa forest or somewhere were able to receive the custody, receive their kingpins, colleagues into custody, and had what it took to arm those people, arm them to the teeth, and within 1 week, those 5 kingpins came out and were threatening to bomb Abuja. This is now an issue of psychology. Even if at that time, Boko Haram was dead and gone, that must have emboldened them and weakened even the security or the military of anywhere or any country.
Does it mean then that negotiating with these people is not really the way to go?
There is nothing wrong about negotiation, but the negotiation was you were now releasing these people into safety, maybe to come and now get embraced and get integrated into our positive Nigeria. But for you to have released those kingpins, and within 1 week, those kingpins were well-dressed, well-packaged, and well-armed like Shekau.
But what might have been a better way to negotiate?
No, the negotiation was good, but the question is, where is that forest? Where is that camp that those people you released were able to get back into and were armed within a Nigerian geographical entity again? If they were released maybe to their parents and we said, okay, get them jobs, incorporate them, give them education, that's fine. But they got back into a camp within a geographical confinement called Nigeria and had all those arsenals and threatened to bomb Abuja.
They were actually, all right.
I really don't want to
that was what psychologically
It's interesting you point this out, because reports say that the terrorists were firing anti-aircraft guns into the Jidari Polo area, you know, while setting houses on fire.
And that is not far from Giwa Barracks.
And do you know what would have happened? After releasing these guys, those 5, even if it means spending so much to have aerial surveillance, to see, take it to the highest level in the sky, to see where these people will get to in the camp, whether even in Sambisa forest. But these 5 kingpins safely got into the camp, received, got armed with the most sophisticated weapons and supporting Hilux trucks and anti-aircraft within the geographical confinement.
Are we watching our borders, yes or no? Are we
even if we're watching
borders?
the land, but it's only aerial surveillance.
Yeah. Bala Zaka, we have to put it here down now for now.
Shocking.
Time would not permit us to go further, but we thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
so
Bala
much.
Zaka.